All right, everybody. We are back again for another episode of The Coach's Compass. Now, remember, I don't know what episode it is. I just continue to record, continue to bring on cool guests from all across the world. Now, remember, hit that like, subscribe, comment button down below so you continue to have the same growth, continue to bring on cool guests from all across the world. I've got another special guest with me here today. I've got William Person. He is a 9 years of Team USA bobsledding, now helping athletes, veterans, and pretty much everybody who's having brain issues, CTE symptoms through hyperbaric oxygen therapy. Will, thank you and welcome to the Coach's Compass.
Man, thank you for having me. And just by the way, people in the internet and people have been giving me credit for this hyperbaric thing. I'm not responsible. I learned from Joe Namath. Joe Namath saved my life. So I try to send that credit right back where it belongs.
Man, that takes me right into it. Like hyperbaric oxygen therapy. You got to break that down to the people out there that have no idea what it is and why it's important and how it helps people. Because, I mean, if you're an athlete, like you've heard about hyperbaric chambers and all that stuff, right? But even some people that have never even gotten in it as athletes don't even understand what to do.
Yeah. Well, when I started, like, only thing I knew about it was Michael Jackson had one. So I was like, I don't want to be the weird guy with hyperbaric oxygen. I love Michael Jackson music, don't get me wrong. But, you know, he was an eccentric. I'm not an eccentric. Like, you know, what am I doing with that? But what Joe Namath said is it reversed his CTE symptoms. And I was like, wait a minute, I've been seeing doctors, I've been asking questions, research. It's all brutal. Like this person murdered that person, this one loved, you know, he killed himself or his loved ones. Like, you know, it's brutal, it's nothing. And so even the medicine that I even decided to try, they gave me like a Zoloft one time. It made everything seem even worse. So there was nothing out there for me to try. And I just found the video I made while I was inside that chamber, and it was so morbid and dark. Like I was like, this is my last shot at anything. Like I can't, you know, but I didn't think it was going to work. But the crazy part is I was in this machine. This guy and down in Orange County let me come in, do it for free. And so I'm in this machine for about an hour. And when I come out, like my glasses are a little tinted because I'm sensitive to like lights, sounds, and smells now. So all my sensors are just hypersensitive. So after I get out the chamber, I grab my glasses and I put them on and I take them off because I don't need them. I'm like, yeah, everything was extra bright. Everything was like vivid, like in 3D. And I'm thinking like, what the hell am I at? Like, I must not have been seeing colors for a while because everything is so vivid. And the salesman came over and he's like, what's wrong? And I was like, I don't know. I don't think I need my glasses right now. And he said, oh, you're one of those. And I was like, uh-oh, wait a minute.
What you mean
That
one of
don't
those?
sound right. Yeah, what do you mean one of those? You know, but he's right, man. Some people get immediate relief, and then some people need like 50 to 60 sessions within 30 days and to get the same type of relief. Man, it changed my life. But I'll be honest, when I got home that night, I fell asleep on the couch. Is your people, is it PG-13 or what?
Say whatever you want to say, baby. Yeah, I want the truth.
I'm going to give you the truth. So when I got out of that chamber and I got home, like I had these migraines since my bobsledding days, migraines and vertigo. Yeah, I just never know what's going to show up. So I fell asleep on the couch. It was about 7 o'clock that night. And I remember waking up with this, about 9 o'clock, I woke up with this bad migraine. And I'm thinking, oh man, this chamber was horrible. It did something to me. But then on the other side, I was thinking, wait a minute, something else is wrong here. When I had that migraine, I had an erection with it. That's why I asked you about the PG-13. I've never seen nobody with a migraine say, let's go make love because, you know, I'm in the mood. Like, no.
You trying to not do nothing.
Yeah. You don't even want to see them, smell them. You don't want nothing. You don't want anything. Yeah. You don't even want nobody touching your skin, like, you know. But I had an erection, which was weird. So I'm thinking, okay, something is happening here. And so I went and got into bed about midnight, woke up at 8 o'clock in the morning. Man, that migraine is subsided. I could still kind of feel where it was at, but it's going down. But the erection was still there. And I'm thinking, it's been 8-10 hours. And man, all that cloudiness I had for the years is gone. Man, and I was just like, oh my God, I'm looking at this world like it was just beautiful, man. Like I realized I hadn't seen the beauty in anything for a long, long time. So I had 6 days.
What were some of the symptoms you were having before you got in the chamber, right?
Yeah. Well, like I was cloudy. Like I had some red flags leading up. Like there was some times, like we traveled a lot. So there were times I woke up and I didn't know where I was at, and it'd be middle of the night. And I jump up and I panic a little bit. I hit them light switches and I look around, When I'm in Europe, they always had those creepy pictures on the wall, like the eyes be following, like an old Three Stooges TV show.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I know I'm in Europe. So if not, I know white walls, I'm at the Olympic Training Center or, vice versa, whatever, I can tell by the walls. So I'm panicking but I rationalized it. I was like, you know what? I got such a great life. I'm representing my country. I'm traveling the world. And like, I just don't know where I'm at because I travel so much. That's all. But really, that wasn't the truth because there were some other ones. Like, I hadn't seen my buddies in a long time. So I come back to Salt Lake and we go hang out. We're shooting pool, having a beer or something. My buddy look over. He's like, hey, man, that's your ex-girlfriend over there. And I look at this girl. I was like, she's pretty, but I don't know her. And then she ran over and she jumped in my arms and I caught her. And I went, whoa. I was like, it didn't make sense to me. But then once again, I rationalized, back then I was like 218, ripped to shreds, I'm bulked up, I'm like, the ladies just love me, I'm rationalizing it, athletes, we think we're God gift to women,
Yeah.
and I was no different. Like I thought that. But the truth was I wasn't recognizing familiar faces and people that I knew anymore. And I was still racing at that time. So, but once again, I just kept rationalizing stuff. And it's so easy to misdiagnose this stuff because it looks like a lot of different things. Yeah, but that was, yeah.
How are you helping, for yourself? Like, how do you know that this is like early onset, like CTE stuff? And how are you helping other, not just athletes and veterans, but people out there realize like, hey, the cloudiness that you guys are living in, like, isn't just something that you should rationalize with. Like, there's something going on.
Well, let me tell you, mine was so extreme that like every day when I woke up, I had a little blue notebook, like a little planner next to the bed. And what I had to do is figure out like what day is it? Is it Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever. So I figure out the day, and then I got to figure out what month we're in. I was stuck in a loop. I always thought it was January or August. I don't know. Always the same 2 months. But I always knew every morning I woke up I was wrong. I didn't know the date. So just look at that book. So I started putting things in place to help me, And if you looked at my walls, I had these 8-foot whiteboards on my wall, and I was writing all over them, just appointments, doc's appointments, work, dates, like it was a thing going on with me. Like, let's say today is Monday, right? And let's say you say, hey, well, let's meet up on Tuesday, go have lunch. I'm like, yeah, cool. So to me, Tuesday back then was like about 2-3 weeks away. Like I wasn't able to really connect them. But if you say, hey, meet me tomorrow, I'm gonna be there. So imagine it was, women was like asking me out on dates sometime. And was one particular one, she said, it went down just like that. So she called me the next day. She said, hey, I'm here at the place. I'm like, oh, cool. She hot, boy. She was mad. Yeah, she was mad, man. I was like, I'm thinking, what are you mad about? Well, we said we're going to meet on such and such day. I was like, so I couldn't connect. So if you say Tuesday, I'll get it. I won't get it, but you say tomorrow, I'll be there. So I started fixing stuff, like writing everything down, Tuesday, day, so that's kind of how I survived this thing. I was always putting something in place until it just was whooping me so bad that I couldn't get up off the floor anymore. And so what I did is I took my mattress off the box spring in the bedroom and put it in the living room. And because I can get to the kitchen easier, I can get to the front door if I need to, I can get to the bathroom easier. And then also I would, before I went to bed at night, I would get a thermos of coffee, which I never drink as an athlete, or Coca-Cola, put it next to the nightstand because I know in the morning, if I don't have that, I'm not getting out of the bed till 3:00. And so I had these random, weird days of cloudiness. Like they were random at first. And then eventually it switched over to like random days of clarity. And then, one of my teammates called me one day. He wanted to be a writer. And so my background is like, I used to own treatment facilities for youth. I've managed some, I've owned one. And I actually owned one when I joined Team USA. I opened it when I was about 28 years old or something, I think. So mental health is my background. So my buddy called me. He wants to be a writer. And one other part I left out. When I was in my mid-20s, you ever see a movie like Jerry Maguire, Any Given Sunday?
Yeah, Any Given Sunday was a staple for me before football games.
Okay. Yeah, I was the one they would put the uniforms on. You see somebody running fast down the field. I was like a 4.23 40 guy at the time. So they put the uniforms on. I did like 5 players for Jerry Maguire. And then so that's what was my background. So it was Hollywood here, and then I had my mental health stuff that I was doing as well, you know. And so let's fast forward. We get to this one day, my teammate, they don't know I had a, you know, entertainment background. So when I left the sport, went back to LA, my one buddy was calling me. And, you know, he had these weird concepts for movies. And I was like, oh man, that's pretty awesome. It's something I never heard before, you know? And I really just connected these dots. This was prior to 2019, right? So I just connected the dots over the last few weeks. These weird stories he had, his mind was slipping. It wasn't creative writing, but I didn't know that at the time, man. I didn't know. So I'm telling him and showing him how to, you know, tweak it up and make it Hollywood. And then the very next time he called me, he was speaking gibberish. He couldn't talk anymore. And he got so frustrated with me trying to understand him and get him to repeat stuff. He hung up the phone. And I'm thinking, okay, that's not good, you know? And I told myself every day I got to get this guy some help, right? And the truth is I didn't do anything to help him, not at all. Like, and then I'm not really sure where the information came from, but eventually I found out that he went to his family's factory and then he hung himself. And then I felt like responsible because I didn't do what I should have done, you know, and I felt really guilty for a long time. Like we had a memorial phone call where all the athletes got on the phone to talk about him. And I didn't get on that call because I felt my hands were dirty, you know, and I was embarrassed and I was just hurting about it. You know, I felt just the guilt just like it just crippled me for a while until his autopsy came out. You know, Pavle was in stage 4 of CTE. That's why he couldn't talk. And I was told his brain was so bad, like it was worse than any NFL football player's brain. And I went, oh, okay. But the truth of it is, like, I couldn't help him anyway because when I called myself trying to get him some help, I needed help. I was literally living on the floor in my own place, you
Yeah,
know,
I mean, you
and
got your bedroom and the living room.
yeah, 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 I did. Hey, you know what? Sometimes I couldn't get up. And so I had this little jar with a lid on it. So sometimes my bathroom was in the living room with me. So, you know, so I'm trying not to be too gross about it, but that's what it was. Like I couldn't get up some days. And I still had no idea what was wrong with me. I thought it was like diabetes. It felt like low blood sugar. I've seen that before. So that's what it looked like. That's what it must be, right? And I guess the one thing that got me was like I bought a little lake house back in my hometown, you know, and I bought it during COVID. So I got a really great deal because nobody couldn't qualify for loans, you know, but I was
Right.
lucky. I got one. So, and it was like half the price of my LA apartment. So it was like, yeah, I couldn't beat it. So I got that place. It was my death house because I was getting lost in my own community. I'm confused. I'm cloudy. I don't know where I'm at. Everything's just a mess, you know? And so I got the place and my girlfriend, I wound up, we had an apartment in LA. So we still have an apartment in LA. So we just we're staying here, but like I'm trying. How do I put it nicely? Like she from New York, man. So they got a loving family. Let's put it that way. Just in
Yeah.
case they watching, you know, it's because they watching me, you know. And so they on the phone like all day long talking, and they talk so loud it was killing me. Like I couldn't cope with the noise. And so I said we might have to do something different because I just can't, you know. So I went back to the lake house. And so when I was there, an article came out from the New York Times called Sledhead. And it outlined everything the bobsledders were dealing with, side effects. Like before they committed suicide, there was some that tried to commit suicide. There was Parkinson's. We got seizures, strokes, dementia. I'm in dementia at that time. I'm sure I was in dementia. And so I read that article, and I promise you, this doesn't make a lick of sense to me, but I got on my knees and I thank God all the symptoms missed me, right? I took the article, sent it to my girlfriend. She circled some stuff and sent it back to me. And the first thing I saw was noise sensitivity. And I went, that was the reason why I was there in the first place. And then I just I lost it, man. I lost it. And yeah, and that's when the fight began.
How hard was it to like actually? I mean, because we're males, right? We're also
Yeah.
Black,
Yeah.
right? We're former athletes that have been at the highest level. we don't want to tell people we got problems, right? We
Yeah.
don't want to ask for help. How hard was it to ask for help and actually say like, hey, yo, over here, I need somebody.
Well, I don't really have an honest answer. There's a lot of dark spots in that time period. And like I was really, every symptom that showed up, I was addressing it because this thing has a lot of limbs. Like a lot of people who have concussions, they'll tell you they think they have adult ADHD. I went through that. All right. I went through that, seeing doctors. They prescribed me an Adderall or something. I think they get, yeah, didn't change a thing, you know. Then they tell you to keep your test levels up. So I'm researching that. Go find doctors to get my test levels up. Didn't do a thing. Gave me more muscle. Don't get me wrong. I got more muscular real quick, but I was already muscular. So, and I wasn't working out with that. I was just taking the testosterone and just laying around. I wasn't working with it because I couldn't. I couldn't get out of that off that floor sometime. And so I was treating all the symptoms the whole time, but I was asking for help. But the doctors, what they do, they look at you. Oh, you 220 pounds. You still look strong. Like nothing's wrong with this guy, you know. And so you're not getting the help that you need. It's just not out there for us. And like my primary doctor referred me to two different neurologists. And once I knew what it was, like now I have paperwork. I can show the doctors, stop checking my blood and check my brain. Because that's what they do. They check your blood. They never check the brain. And still like the doctors now, the neurologists to this day, they all told me the same thing. Don't come to us. We can't help you with this. Find a specialist. And then at that point, I'm like, okay, lawyers, you know, because I spoke to my other athletes and everybody was dealing with the same stuff. But this is the crazy part. This stuff is so sneaky. Everybody told me the same thing. Like they said they read that article called Sledhead and they said the symptoms missed them, the same as I said it. But then I just let them keep talking for a little while. Then you start hearing these bizarre stories start popping up. And I'm just thinking, oh God, not another one. And then I'll tell them, I said, take that article, share it with your loved ones. And then if y'all feel a need to call me back, I'll be waiting. And every single time it was the same thing. Just like I couldn't see it in myself. These athletes, they don't see it in themselves. That's why they're doing what they're doing. That's why they're killing people and killing themselves. They don't know they're sick. They know something's wrong, but when you're there, you can't connect these dots. They're hard to connect. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't even know where to start to connect the dots. And even we're talking about like a niche sport, right? Like bobsledding, right? Talking about injuries to the head. And I don't think many people even know like what you do when you're in bobsledding besides watching cool runnings and understanding that you jump in a sled and you go down. Like they don't understand that like there is a lot of movement in that sled and there's also crashes that happen. Things like that cause the sled head and things that aren't told to athletes before they get into this sport. Cause I mean, like I just said before we were on air, is like I tried out for this literally a couple months ago and was
Wow.
invited back, just decided not to go because of financial reasons.
Yeah.
But now looking at it, I'm like, man, I'm a former football player. I done got dinged a couple times. Like it's probably better that I didn't even go through this one and get another more head injury.
Yeah. Yeah. Did they mention anything about the safety, concussions, brains, anything?
No, no,
Yeah.
I'm one of those that like I gotta look at and study the sport before I go into it.
Yeah.
So obviously I watched like YouTubes of people sledding, people getting into sledding, and then, you know, up there pops up the top 10 crashes in bobsledding. So I'm like,
Yeah.
well, I'm very aware that like you can get concussed from this and you can bang your head side to side and you've got to work on your G forces and everything like that to be able to have neck strength when you're going down the ice. So I knew a little bit going into it, but when you get there, no, because you're at the same time as athletes, like I think about it, like if they were to talk about it, would I even listen? Because I'm trying to make the team, right? Like I'm
Yeah.
brain health, my head. Like I'll worry about it when I'm done. If I got a chance to be in the Olympics and compete for my country, like that's
Yeah.
something that nobody else has ever done, right? Or nobody in my family's done, right? So like,
Yeah.
coach, don't come over here with that negative stuff.
Yeah. Well, you know, that's why I filed a class action lawsuit. And just to be honest, I was at such a low point at that time. I was living on the floor. I thought I was about to die any moment. Like I didn't think I would be alive when the case ended. And so during this case, like I only asked for two things. I didn't ask for anything for myself, nothing whatsoever. I said, take care of my guys. And then I said, make sure, number one, we warn the new generation before they start the sport. So when we start mediation in court, they're fighting me on. Even to this second right now, they're still fighting me on the wording of how to warn the new generation. Like, I knew I had a concussion at my first World Cup. Like, we went down the track in St. Moritz, Switzerland. It was 2 weeks before Salt Lake City games. We crashed. The guy in the sled with me that day was knocked unconscious, and I had vertigo. Right, so they sent us back to the hotel room to keep an eye on each other, make sure we don't go to sleep. So
You two to
now,
keep your eyes shut.
yeah. So now I'm thinking back, like, okay, was I supposed to watch? I'm thinking I got vertigo. I can't sit up in the bed without the room spinning. And he's been knocked unconscious. So which one of us was actually watching the other one? We was both in their sleep, and that's the truth of it. And that was the only treatment I ever received as an athlete for brain health while I was there. Go back to that room and watch each other. And so that's why every athlete I spoke to who's ever slid, and every athlete who they spoke to who ever slid has got the same problems. Yeah, it's just how far up the chain does it go? Are you already at the Parkinson's part, or are you down here in the dementia area? Yeah,
How are they sending two unqualified, not that you don't have mental health experience and all that stuff, but like two unqualified people that have just gone through a crash to, hey, go back to your room and you guys watch each other. On top of that, you're talking about two grown men. I
yeah,
understand we're teammates, but hey, we in a room, like, hey, bro, you can handle your business, I'm gonna handle my business, right? Like you talk
yeah,
about like watch each other after
yeah,
one has been unconscious and the other one has vertigo. And
yeah,
these are your athletes that you're supposed to compete for you. Like,
yeah.
why are they not giving you guys the best treatment?
Well, the other question is, there was never anyone there qualified to tell us to go again or not go again. That's part of the problem with the sport. We had a World Cup race in Altenburg, Germany, right? Me and my driver went down that track. It's brutal. Altenburg, Germany is brutal. Germany is brutal. Like right now, even my speech slurs a little bit every now and then, but it's all from that kind of stuff. Sometimes it's there, sometimes it's extreme, sometimes it's not as extreme. But we go down this track. My driver, we crash. We go back to the top. An hour later, we go back down that track again, crash again. They want me to go a third time. I'm sorry, I'm not getting back in there. I said, we brought an alternate for a reason, and we need to, I'm invoking that right. You need to send him down that track. But I just couldn't get back in that
Yeah.
sled that day. But they wanted me to. And every crash I've ever had except that one in St. Moritz, I got back in that sled and went one more time. Every single time. Like, that hasn't been one time I didn't go right back up and go. Yeah. And
But
that's how
that's
the
the
sport
nature.
is.
That's the nature of an athlete, right? Like you're gonna get up and do it one more time, but you're not really thinking. Because I mean, I guess NFL now has done a better job, right, with concussion
Yeah.
protocol. Like someone in the booth is watching, like knowing,
Yeah.
like, hey, I need to call down. Like we need to take that player out. We need to get evaluated. Not to say that they do the best job, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I can't say that
But they're doing
that's
something.
they're
Yeah.
doing
Yeah.
something.
Something. Yeah.
But now we're talking about a maybe not a new sport that's watched every weekend or anything like that, but a sport that's in the Olympics, right? And
Yeah.
to me, as a football player, the Olympics to me is the highest level of all the athletes in the world, right? Like that's the highest of the high. Like, yeah, if you made it to the
Right.
NFL, that's the highest of high you can make it in football. But like the Olympics to me is like just this godly world, right?
Yeah.
That like
Yeah.
your top athletes from all over the world are at. And we're talking
Yeah.
about you guys can't even have somebody that watches and says like, hey, like probably shouldn't be going down again.
Yeah.
Like, let's pull them out, put in an alternate, or maybe let's see what's actually going on with them.
Yeah. It's pretty, like, the more I think back, I just see all the red flags, like, oh my God, like, how did you fall into this, And yeah, and it's brutal. Like, when you start watching all your friends, like, there's been, I don't know how many suicides, because every time, like, when I start asking questions, then I start finding more people who dealing with more issues. Like, it's all been hidden from us. And then I had a person tell me, like, I don't want to put his name out there right now because we still dealing with what we're dealing with.
Yeah,
But he
yeah.
said when he was working for the bobsled team, he couldn't find helmets that were safe but aerodynamic. So the bobsled team wanted more protection from head injury lawsuits, is what I was told. And it was at the time when I was there. And at no point in time did they ever talk to us about any of that stuff, and it just doesn't make sense to me. Yeah.
It's not like it got any better, to be completely honest with you. Just
Yeah.
because I can speak from being up there at the U.S. Olympic Center, they're just handing down helmets, right? Like even though we're not going on down a full run when we're going to rookie camp and everything like that, there is still
Yeah.
chances of you banging your head or anything like that. But it's just hand me down spikes, hand me down helmets, right? Like there's no, but also, which I guess takes me back to like being there, like thinking about the little things that were said while I was there. Like, hey, like while we're doing this practice and like, just make sure you got your helmet on because there's cameras watching. I was like, why y'all keep bringing this up? Like,
That's because of me right here.
and now it's crazy how the world just lines the things
Yeah.
up and kind of puts things into play because like I just spoke to a former or a current right now U.S. bobsled athlete, Jasmine Jones, about trying to help getting funding for this stuff, right? Like how underfunded some of the U.S. bobsled team is and how much these athletes are, one, having to join the Air Force or join the Army,
Mm-hmm.
right? Having
Yeah.
to live in dorms,
Mm-hmm.
and then trying to serve the country while you're trying to compete at that level and not making that much money to be able to live. But now we're even talking about the
Yeah.
flip side of it is like your health really isn't that taken care of either.
Yeah.
So how do we help? How do we fix it? How do we change it?
Well, that's why I filed the case to make them make the changes because they didn't want to do it on their own. And even right now, like I said, they're still fighting me on the wording. Like right now they want to add concussion into the membership package. So now they actually mention it, but they don't tell you. Like in 7 years, you know what? You're not going to recognize people that you know. You're not going to realize what day you in, what year you're in. You're going to get suicidal. You might get Parkinson's. You might get ALS because I did find one ALS. I think there's three or four Parkinson's that I heard about. So they don't tell you all that stuff. They want to just put this concussion word on it. Well, guess what? I knew I had a concussion, but I didn't know all the things that were coming down the road waiting on me, or for my buddies. It's everybody. It's not like it's just here. It's the Canadians. I know about some of the Jamaicans. I know there was an aneurysm death. I think it was Australia, New Zealand recently, one of the drivers. I think there was a German suicide recently. They said suicide, then they changed it, tried to change the wording. So like it's really something they're really attempting to sweep under the carpet. And I'm just like, they picked the wrong person. Well, I was the right person to file this lawsuit because I was dying. I couldn't get off that floor. I was on my last leg. Like I didn't have any energy and I was dying anyway. So I said, I'm going to save the rest of these guys before I go. And that's how I fought through I got the energy to fight through the court stuff and to stay here until we're here now, But yeah, it's they don't want to do the right thing still.
Yeah. And you
Yeah.
can, let me be honest, man, I can kind of hear the pain in your voice as you speak about it, about losing people, right?
Yeah.
And that's probably got to be another part that's kind of, even though it's helping you fight, right? Like to continue the fight, it's got to be another part that hurt the mental too. Is like knowing that we're losing people to something that could be ultimately prevented or even
Yeah.
spoken about so people have more awareness about it. So how are you doing, one? And two, what are you doing to help raise awareness for all this and other athletes that are potentially getting into bobsledding and sliding sports that this could affect them in the long run?
Well, I was really hoping in the when I filed the case, I said, well, maybe just the same way I didn't connect the dots. I said, maybe they're not connecting the dots. But when they came in, it was like, we don't know what you're talking about. And so I knew at that point, I knew what I was dealing with. And it was always stuff like that with them anyway. So for me, like I'm dealing with it now, but I have the hyperbaric oxygen chamber now. So when I get in that thing, as long as I don't go like a few weeks without it, like I'm pretty stable now. Like I'm not in that. I took the edge off. I'm not in that dark place like I was. But until I found that thing, it was a wrap, man. There was nothing else out here that was giving me. There was like no relief. Like, but that's why a lot of people are dying because they start self medicating, trying to feel better, which is usually alcohol for athletes. And we're not really heavy drug users, but it's that alcohol that's going to kill you. That's the one that takes you out. because it gets a little bit more extreme, because you're just trying to feel better. You're just trying to get this anxiety off or this. I've been a counselor my whole life. I had so many clients who had anxiety. And I knew they had anxiety, and we knew what to tell them to do when they have anxiety. But I never knew what it felt like until it kicked in. Then I went, oh my God, I didn't know what the F I was talking about. Like, I told them to do what? Like, no, man. Like, yeah. But I tell you, I'm glad you didn't stick around out there because they definitely aren't trying to do the right thing for the athletes yet. And actually, they got called out on that, on a lot of things they were doing, and they were given to like June 30th of 2022 to fix some stuff or be decertified as the Olympic team. It was outside audits and stuff. So, I'm not the only one looking at this thing now. And with the case, it's making more people, it's putting more eyes over there. But until people do the right thing, but I look at it this way: if all the athletes who deal with this stuff can't see it on themselves at first, until everything's pointed out to you. In order for you to run the bobsled office, you have to, you can't be a bobsled coach if you weren't a bobsled athlete. So if we all pretty much have the CTE stuff floating in our system right now, they shouldn't be in charge because they're not seeing it in themselves, and they're not going to protect anybody else. And that's really what the problem is. You got CTE victims running an office and causing more CTE
or organization.
Yes. Yeah.
If we're just, saying it how it is, like if you got other athletes, because I mean, like even if you talk about like football players, like getting concussions, right? They say, hey, like by your fourth, fifth one, you might want to hang it up, call football over with.
Mm-hmm.
But that's even crazy to me to think about is like 4 or 5, like serious brain. Like we're talking about there's different levels of getting concussions and stuff. And I've been lucky enough to not get it. I've never had a concussion that like took, I would say like a major concussion.
Mm-hmm.
Like I maybe got my bell rung a couple times and like saw a couple stars, but was able to like kick it back in. I was back into it. But I've never had one of those that like knock you out moments that like was considered a full blown concussion. But I've had.
Go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
I've had friends that have had 5, 6, 7 concussions that like were ones that took them out. Like I've seen them like cold asleep on the ground, and then like 3 or 4 weeks later they're like playing again, and then they go play in college and stuff, and you're like, man, shouldn't you call it quits, my guy? Like there's more to life than this game. Like I got to play for a long time, but I understood that like if I got the ones that they had, nah, like it's okay.
But actually, you might be wrong. They had a good concussion, which meant, like, what I've learned now, every time we went down the bobsled track, it's a good chance we were getting micro concussions. That's when you get the bell rung. But, you can keep doing what you're doing, right? You got your bell rung and you kept playing, right? Your friends who had the real bad concussion, it's the same. It does the same thing to the brain, but the big one makes you sit down when you can't do nothing else. Those micro ones allow you to keep doing what you're doing when you should be sitting down, but you're not because you can keep going. So the one you had is worse. Those are the ones that's getting us because your body's not telling you got to sit down and you can't do this again. You're like, no, I'm young. I got this muscles. I'm still rolling.
Yeah.
Your situation is probably worse than theirs.
Huh.
And
I never thought of it that way.
If I were you, I would try to get ahead of that a little bit because the one thing about it is nobody gets treated for concussions in America. Like, in the sports, there's, now they started to do hyperbaric. Matter of fact, I saw that movie, Him, with Marlon Wayans recently. It was about, did you see that one yet?
I haven't seen it yet.
Okay.
But I didn't hear great things about it.
Well, it's very interesting because one thing that came out of that movie is when this guy was getting pummeled and beat down, he was bleeding. They put him in his room and they called it a brain something room, something to heal the brain. It was a hyperbaric chamber. Yeah. So the world's catching on. I was watching ESPN last Saturday. The strength coach from the University of Houston had melanoma cancer. He gave him 6 weeks to live. Yeah.
Yep.
Same thing. They'll tell you if you have cancer can't live in an oxygenated system. That's what the hyperbaric does. It oxygenates all your cells. So cancer can't survive in it. It kills it. It just can't. All the tumors will break down easier. So new age doctors are putting their cancer patients through this before they start the treatment, middle of a treatment, and after treatment. But that's what the hyperbaric does. Yeah. Yeah. Matter of
So
fact, go ahead.
how expensive is it to actually use a hyperbaric chamber, or even
That's the
maybe?
problem. Okay, the guy took me. He let me come in and use it for free. Right, the first time I used it for free, get great results. Went back the second time, worked again. I knew it was no placebo. Now, just imagine that if I was right and I was really diabetic, and now I need that insulin. Now your insulin is at least probably $15,000-$20,000, depending on what machine you get. I didn't have 15, 20 grand laying around. So eventually I laid back down and the symptoms kicked back in. And I was about to fade back out again. I was gone, but my girlfriend and my dad had been talking. My dad had been trying to buy me this machine anyway. And I was like, no, Dad, I just bought the house. Let me move some money around and eventually I'll get it. But by the time I got to that point, I was gone already. And so had my family not stepped in and got that machine, like I wouldn't have made it, I wouldn't have made it. And I forgot what your question was. That's another thing I deal with, man. Yeah, it's brutal, man. It's brutal.
But it's crazy because like you kind of, I asked you these questions and like you telling me you're forgetting, and I'm like, man, not.
Yeah. Yeah.
Try and like see if it helps, right? Because
Yeah.
there is more life to live, and there could be some pieces that you miss along the way,
Yeah.
and that it's okay to try other things. And I think that's the hardest message to get through to athletes,
Yeah.
former athletes, veterans, and stuff, because we're not programmed that way.
Yeah. Now for me, like when I was at that lowest, even with with Pavle struggling like that, and I called myself trying to help him. What I went through every day was like I was, because I was a counselor and I knew somebody else who committed suicide before, and I saw how it affected his family. So I made a deal with God, like, God, I won't kill myself, but I want to. I said I can't, because I don't want to leave that trauma for my family. I said we're gonna make a deal here. If you take, as long as you take me, it won't be as rough on the family, because I left, because you took was my time. So I was every night I'm praying for death. I'm praying for it. I'm praying for it. Yeah, every day I wake up, I'm like, what the hell? And that's what this thing does. It's just, so my brain is telling me like every day, like, suicide, suicide. It's time to go. Time to go. It's suicide. I mean, it started going into your dreams, waking you up, and you just stuck on this loop. And I ran into a different population of people. Like, I don't want to change the subject too far. Like, I found out our military guys are coming back with the same condition, right? Now they've been in the military, and our military, we got the best, strongest military in the world. And so they're the best killers in the world. So now they're coming back. So where my condition is telling me to take myself out, their issues are telling them to kill. And so if you look at I have a TikTok page just dedicated toward living with CTE. I stepped in all the potholes, and I try to keep people from doing it. And if they do try hyperbaric, I walk them through how I did it, all my good days, bad days. It's all over there. And so when that guy, it was like a month and a half ago, he went to the New York office to try to shoot the NFL up, and he left a suicide note saying he had CTE, right? So it came back. He was right. He had it. But my phone was going crazy because of my social media stuff. And I put a video out that day. If you can go and see, I had on a red Team USA shirt. And I'm just telling people, I said, like, guys, I know we're watching athletes go through this and they're doing this and doing that. I said, but that's not the population that scares me. I said, we live in the only country. You can go to the church and get shot. You can go to the movies and get shot. You can go to a concert and get shot. I said, we got to get ahead of this.
Elementary school will get shot.
Elementary schools. My gosh, man. Like, wow. Yeah. And so I said, we got to treat our veterans. I said, there's going to be a wave. You can quote me and go back and look at that video. I said, there's going to be a wave of military mass shootings coming. I said it on that video. The next day I had court. I talked to the judge about it. And as I left the courthouse, I gave that same speech on the courthouse steps. And so the following week, this guy in Montana went into the bar, Nakana, Montana, I think it was called. He went there and shot 4 people and killed 4 people. And he went out into the woods. They found him hiding in the woods the next week. And then the very next week, somebody went on the Army base, shot up some of the people on the Army base. And then last Sunday, a veteran went into the Mormon church up in Minnesota. He burned one part of the building and he went to the other one and started shooting. So when they actually took him out, I don't know if they caught him or killed him, I'm not sure. But when all the shooting stopped, it was still 5 people missing. And they believe they were in that burned up building. And so I'm just saying, guys, this is the wave. Go back and look at the video from 3 weeks ago. This is that wave of military mass shooting that's coming. So my thing is like, if it can bring me back, every trip I had down that track was a concussion, I got the worst case scenario because I went down that track between 1 to 6 times a day for like 4 or 5 days a week, 4 or 5 months of the year for 9 years. I have more concussions than probably anybody in the world. And if this thing can get me up off the ground, like it should be helpful for everybody. Like people like saying that it reversed their symptoms. Me, it's calmed them. Like if I go 30 days without treatment, my cloudiness will start to fade back a little bit. I'm not saying poor me. I'm happy to be where I'm at. And I'm just trying to offer the same service that I got for free. That's what I'm working on right now.
Love it. I love it. And that hit home for me with the veterans because I come from family of military, right? Both my parents are former Navy. I got a brother that's getting ready to retire from the Marines after doing 20 years. Did 3 tours over in Afghanistan and Iraq, right? Got blew up in a Humvee. And he comes home, right? And I remember the first time he ever came home, we couldn't wake him up, right? Like, because if you woke him up, he was going to try to
kill you,
choke you out.
Yeah.
Right. Because he had nightmares of what went on overseas, of what they were taught to do. Like if somebody was above you trying to wake you up, like it's usually somebody coming in to kill you.
Yeah.
And now I got to think about, I've got an older brother, so getting ready to retire from the Marines of 20 years, 9 kids, right? I got to find out a way to protect him and help him. Right.
Yeah.
Because and then I've got cousins. I've got my whole family, I would say, is all former military.
Wow.
So how can I help them? Right. And then especially my older brother, right? Like, because I don't want that story, those stories that you just told, to happen to his kids or happen to his village, his neighborhood, right? Wherever he's at. Like, I don't want that to happen to the next innocent person because there's no telling what's going to happen or how he's going to flip a switch when he's officially out, right? Like there's no more like showing up every day and having to do drills or report to somebody like he's in the real world.
Yeah. Yeah, I promise you, from what I've seen, what we're working on with the chambers that's the answer for it. There's programs actually that will treat some of the military and first responders. If you can find them, there's some that'll do it for free, But it's hard to find them. But yeah, that's why mine is so important. That's why I had to add those guys with me. Because I had planned on just doing it at my house. I got a chamber. I was like, bring my buddies over. And then I started thinking, and my publicist was telling me, like, if we do partnerships open up, like, we can reach more people. So my dad got this building. He retired a couple of years ago. It's got 3 addresses on it. And I'm like, it's big. It's just sitting there. He's about to sell it. I said, wait a minute, Dad, don't sell it yet. Maybe I'll buy it and I'll use that center and turn that into the CTE center or wellness center so I can give the free treatment. So that's all I'm working on. That's it. Off of that same relief I got, it's I can't find anything more important to be doing than that right now.
So before we get out of here, where can we find you at? Where can people come and get help?
First of all, the best way to find me, all of my social media is One Man with a Chamber. And my name is William. Everybody know, or Will, W-I-L-L, in person. Everybody's a person, P-E-R-S-O-N. Find me. And my TikTok channel, like I said, is geared toward helping people with CTE symptoms. But it's more geared toward the families and the loved ones because most of us, we won't see it on ourselves. And it's the loved ones who's been saving these people. Trust me, matter of fact, if you look at all the last few NFL suicides, the husband was living separate from the wife because he started being bizarre. They got it. She's trying to be safe, get away from him or wherever it may be, because he's not they're not very pleasant once they get there, And so they're all living separate. It's a reason for that. And when you have to separate from them, get them some help. They need help. That's what that is. This is not because they're all of a sudden now they're butt heads. No, they're suffering, and they're suffering in silence because we can't explain what's going on. Like, I could never tell people. Like, and if you do tell somebody, oh man, I go in the room, I go in the kitchen, I forget what I go in there for. Everybody will tell you the same thing. Oh, I do that too. So they'll minimize it for you. And that's the wrong thing to do. Yeah, that's the wrong thing to do.
Well, man, I appreciate you coming on today and opening my eyes to these things that are going on, and how to, one, start thinking about it for myself, but also how to help others out there, and especially my older brother, and how to be hyper aware of, like, we can help and we can make a difference, but don't try to minimize what they're saying.
Yeah.
Listen to it and kind of look for things to look for. So I appreciate it, man. Like,
Yeah.
a lot.
I mean, you're welcome. When your brother come back, just have him go through them. You never got to give him all ugly details. You just do it for family sessions. Go to some wellness centers. You can do it. There's places you can get that treatment at. It gets a little expensive though. But
Yeah.
if you start getting there early, man, before it sets in, man, it's much easier. I waited 20 years before I found help. My first concussion with the Olympic team was 2002. It was 2022 before I got in the chamber. It's 20 years. And that's why, I struggled and I struggled and I struggled and struggled. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I hope to get my brother in it before then. That's
Yeah.
my plan now. I
Yeah.
appreciate you. You opened my eyes to it. And thank you so much for coming on today. And we're out of here.
Thank you. Thank you.